Hello and welcome back. In this video I'll be talking about Chapter 6 of the book Physics of Heaven, which was published under the banner of Bethel Church in 2012, co-authored by Judy Franklin and Ellyn Davis, with contributions by Bill Johnson, Benny Johnson, and Chris Valentin, who are all big names at Bethel Church. As I've said, this is Chapter 6. The title of the chapter is Good Vibrations. Let's dive into a little bit of the content here. Ellyn Davis discusses concepts around vibrations, and she loosely connects these to some spiritual themes about spiritual energy. She provides an overview of waves and vibrations and frequencies. This is kind of like a grade 6 review or a primer of physical sciences, in light of the fact that human beings experience a very that we perceive a very narrow spectrum of light, and we hear a very narrow portion of sound. She speculates that possibly God has given us other means by which we can perceive these things that would otherwise be invisible to our eyes or inaudible to our ears. And from there she goes on, she speculates about vibrations emitted from crystals, from essential oils, and vibrations that are the electromagnetic frequencies of the earth itself, and she describes all of these as areas of further research. So shifting a bit into the spiritual assertions and use of the Bible, there's actually only one Bible verse that she mentions in this chapter, and it's the same that Chris Valentin referred to in the foreword. It's actually the same fragment of the same verse. It's as if she and Chris are both working off of the same papyri fragments. And the verse she uses is Romans 1:20, and she says that since the attributes of God, the invisible attributes of God, are abundantly evident in nature, and that they have been from the beginning of time, perhaps there are ways that we will be able to learn more about God by observing nature. And she says, could it be that there are things we would better understand about God through things he has made, such as vibrations and frequencies? The problem with that is that she falls into the same trap that Chris Valentin did, which is to take Paul's verse out of context and completely abandon the meaning that he gave to it, which is that since God's eternal attributes have been abundantly evident in nature since creation, that mankind is without excuse when in our wickedness, we turn to the created things, when we make images for ourselves and we worship the creation and rather the Creator. We're without excuse. That message actually is extremely condemning for the contents of this book, which are, in a sense, turning to the creation as a means of glorifying the self. So Davis doesn't really bother with any of the other scriptures in this passage, but she certainly does make a lot of spiritual assertions. She says, for example, that words carry energy, and she means specifically like a type of spiritual energy behind them. She says that some Christian leaders have an individual, quote, resonance about them that allows them to do things out of their personal and unique energy. So she uses as an example Judy Franklin, who she says, because of the energy that she has, is able to take people to heaven with her. She doesn't elaborate in any sense of what she means by that, but presumably that's perhaps a type of trance or out-of-body experience that Judy is able to do for other people by virtue of her personal and unique energy or vibrations. She also says that Larry Randolph, who is one of the contributors of this book, who wrote Chapter 10, she says that Larry teaches that a person will learn how to use a new spiritual gift which they don't know how to use if they are in close physical proximity to someone who already knows how to use this gift. So this really seems to be kind of like the Bluetooth speaker equivalent of spiritual energy, in which a person needs to be in a close enough proximity or else it just doesn't work. At the end of the chapter, she links vibrational frequencies of crystals with this claim that essential oils also have this unique frequency at which they resonate, and that the cells of our body have frequencies that they resonate at, and if we can match those frequencies then that's going to result in some sort of healing effect for our body. She also goes more broadly and suggests that the electromagnetic frequencies of the Earth are, in some sense, responsible for sustaining or regulating all life processes, which really is quite a surprising thing to say. And then she speculates about, in fact, the significance of having someone mysteriously phone you up when, in fact, you were just thinking about them, and seems to be implying that this may be sort of the quantum mystical version of reaching out and touching somebody as the vibrations travel out from you and them and meet in the middle, maybe. All of this she links to the belief that vibrational frequencies are at the heart of this mystery that affects our lives and our health. So a bit about where this fits into the bigger picture of the book. This chapter marks a shift towards a discussion of vibrations that dominates obviously this chapter as well as the next two. A bit of a departure from what has kind of been the hovering point of the previous material in the book. It's meant to provide scientific information that's going to allow us to, sort of better understand, I suppose, the connection between science and mysticism, which really is at the heart of the book. After all, this is the physics of heaven. So thank you very much for joining me here in this windswept and snowy locale. I hope you'll join me for the rest of the videos as we walk through this book, which I think is really quite an important book to understand around where the direction that the church is being urged to take, at least as far as this book and possibly Bethel Church at large would have to say. Thank you very much.